from yesterday's class. This is what we drew in yesterday's live class in cartooning camp. And we learned all about using shapes, basic shapes, circles, squares, triangles, fun ways to modify them, change them, combine them in different ways to create cool characters in cartoons. And we even learned about what shapes say. Hey, Dogewood. Dogewood. Good to see you. Hey, I'm coloring along to the work that we made in our first live class of cartooning camp, which is completely free. You can join us if you haven't signed up yet at kidscartoonacademy.com. And we've got at least 2 more live classes happening. There are on-demand lessons that you get instant access to when you sign up. There's 3 or 4 now. There's more coming tomorrow. Thanks, Dogewood. I never knew how to say that meme. I think it's Doge, though. Am I saying that correctly? Is it Doge? Dogewood? Dogecoin? Now, our next live class on Wednesday, which is going to be, there's 2 times for you to choose from. And those are at, depends on your time zone, but it could be 7 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Eastern. So 2 of those times. And then, so basically, there's a time in the afternoon for everybody, unless you're like in Asia or Australia. But if you're in Europe or the UK, Canada, US, East Coast or West Coast, there's an afternoon time for you or evening time. So I try to make it easy for the families. Oh, awesome! You were in the live class yesterday. Did you post your work in the Facebook group for me to see yet? I know so the classes are streamed into the Facebook group. Um, so your parents can join us, log you on, watch with us. We love to have the parents join us when we're drawing. And we've got the next Wednesday class where I'm going to show all about 3-dimensional shapes. Teach you how I somewhat now with practice can effortlessly put together 3D shapes to create a little more dynamism in my drawing, give them more depth and dimension. And I'll show you the top tricks that I've learned for 3D shapes and the top 3D shapes that you want to master for your art. And it's just a few, really. And from just a few 3-dimensional shapes, you can basically get all the other shapes, draw whatever you want. And I use them all the time in my art. Awesome. Still working on it. Good. Okay. Me too. I'm still working on mine as well. I think I'm going to do like a little background. Sometimes it depends on what type of art you're doing, what you want to make. Sometimes you plan the art ahead of time. Sometimes you just create it as you go. Different methods depending on the purpose for the specific piece of art that you're working on. Let me get some markers here. Got to choose my next colors. When you sign up for the art camp, or if you're already signed up for the cartooning camp, it's completely free. And when you sign up, you get the replays. If you missed yesterday's class, or if you want to watch it again, maybe you want to slow it down, or you missed a part of it, or you want to get some extra practice, you have the replay. It's in the private Facebook group that you get access to as soon as you join. And it's under the events tab in case you're ever looking for it. And that's where all the classes are. They're under the events. All right, these are my markers. Should I really choose a different color for every single marker cap? It's going to take a long time. I don't think I will. Give me advice. Give me advice in the comments. I always take students' advice and input. I love asking them what they want to draw. Yesterday, we drew some Pomni sketches talking about shapes. Interestingly enough, Pomni, this character from a popular YouTube series now that a lot of people enjoy, simply made of circles and these shark fin, these curved triangle shapes. And then we looked at how circles and triangles and squares can be used to communicate ideas actually without words at all. So circles, for example, this is just one example. I showed lots. Show friendliness or welcoming, personality, innocence, kindness. Triangles, on the other hand, which is this is all triangles and sharp edges. Same character. I put everything in the same spot. The hair, the hat, the eyes, the mouth. All of it's in the same spot. So I just copy it. I just change the shape. Carry an eye over here, make it pointy. Carry a mouth over here, make it pointy. The hair, make it pointier. Just put everything in the same spot. Just change the shape, and you instantly you get a villain with a more intimidating personality. What markers do I use? Good question. So yeah, and if you have any other questions or comments, put them in the. Go ahead and type them in the chat there or the comments, and I'll answer the ones that I can. And if the kids are around or the parents, you want to come color your work with me, come hang out. Let's color for a little while. Be on here for a few minutes. These are Ohuhu markers. I use two kinds. Sometimes I use Copic markers. The issue with these, they are expensive. The Copic markers are very expensive, so I don't recommend them. They are the best, and they are refillable. But it took me years and years and years actually of collecting these one by one when at the craft store Michael's they would go on 50% deals, 50% off, and I would go grab them. And then I would ask every Christmas, I asked for them for Christmas from everybody I knew. So over years, I got a decent set. But then I discovered the Ohuhu markers, which are almost just as good. I mean, they're basically professional quality, and they're super affordable. You can get them anywhere. Amazon has a bunch of different sets, and they also are refillable. So a lot of people don't know that you could actually buy refills from the Ohuhu site and refill your markers, your Ohuhu markers. And really, the brand doesn't matter so much. Um, what's key, if you want this sort of shaded, blended, three-dimensional, bright cartoon look that I get with my drawings, really what's key is just what's called alcohol markers. And the alcohol that is in the markers, doesn't matter the brand as long as they're alcohol markers, allows you to blend it, get smooth blending, shading, and layer more and more layers on top of each other. All right, I'm taking shortcuts now. I'm just gonna finish up my marker set here that I'm coloring with a bunch of the same color now. So each of these little markers, for example, I did all with individual colors, and then like you can layer it with another color of any type. So I could add a little shadow on the bottom ones with gray on top. Automatic automatically creates a quick little shadow. I could get a darker gray and go further. Maybe do shadows like under each marker. Now the paper I'm using here is like the cheapest sketch paper that I could find. I use it when I'm teaching classes because I go through so much paper. It's, I mean, I get a huge box of it for like 2,500. It's like 2,500 pieces of paper for like $30 or less. Um, and it still turns out all right. Like that's not bad. And in fact, let's see. I think I got another piece that turned out pretty good. It was on that super cheap paper. This one was done on the cheap. I mean, it's so thin you can see through it, but the results are still pretty good. Suppose I could put the link in the comments if anybody wants it. And it works fine. Works pretty good. You just gotta put some scrap paper underneath because it'll bleed through. And um, but you can also get marker paper or any sort of thicker paper or cardstock, and it works really, really well with that. You can blend it because you can add more and more layers on top, and so it blends even better on any paper that's got thicker quality. Pascas are awesome. How much does it cost? Sanjita, are you referring to the Ohuhu markers? These markers, it depends on the set. I'll put a link in the comments. Let me pull that up for you now. In fact, I'll put all the supplies that I use. This is my supply guide. If you click that, it should come through there in the comics. In the comments there. Let's see. Let me pull it up here for everybody to see. All right, so I think you all have it now. You see it? Tools. Basically, kidscartoonacademy.com/tools. And that's my supply guide. The Ohuhu markers, they go on sale often on Amazon, so you can often snag them for 20 to 40% off. So they're anywhere between 40 or actually like 25 to 60 bucks for a whole set of like I don't know, 48 markers or something, which is plenty. Um all right. The time for the Wednesday class. Okay, so it depends on your time zone, but if you're Pacific time zone, Wednesday class, you're probably going to want to join the later option, option B, if you're in the Facebook group, which you get access to once you sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com. Once you're in the Facebook group, just click on events at the top. That's how you can join the class and see future classes. So Pacific time, you're going to want to join the later option, option B, which is going to be 4 p.m. Pacific. But you all got different time zones, so don't say Mr. Grissom told you 4 p.m. You're welcome, Sanjita. And so the markers that I use are the ones at the top, the first ones on that page. Oh, those are the ones I use the most. But I give you little descriptions of all the tools there. You can read. Those are my comments. You can even, I've got the paper, the links for the paper I use and all that. My best drawing supply. Um, Good question. My best drawing supply would probably honestly be my Ohuhus now. I got a bunch, collected a couple different sets just because I love markers. Um, it's probably my favorite because I love the cartoon look you get with markers. And I love doing them on. I did this a long time ago, so I haven't finished. I need to do, want to do Toad down here. But the markers work well on even, I like doing them on tan paper a lot. Doing a little white outline. You get this sticker effect, which is pretty cool. This is my take on Mario. This is like if they join the Marvel universe, you get scary Koopas, scary Bowser, big strong superhero Mario. But I'll tell you what, I love what's. I don't recommend this for most artists, but since you asked what my favorite supply is, it might be these brush pens. Pentel is the name of these. They make them. They are not on my supply list, I don't think, because they're hard to use and I don't recommend them for beginners. They require a lot of practice and control with your hand, good coordination. Because what you can do, I'll ink something with them, but they're not expensive. So I mean, it's worth trying them if you want. I absolutely love them because the thing is, this is a more advanced technique. Here, I'll do it on this Sonic. I did Sonic meets Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a little more of an advanced technique, but I teach it to some of my students in my other classes. Is you can, if you get thick to thin lines like this. Like, watch how I'm going to go thick up here at the top of the snout. I'm sorry, I'm going to go thin. Then I'm going to get thick on the sides. And then I can come in here and do these tiny little details. And then I can get thick lines like the bottom of his belly. This is called line weight, changing up your line weight. It's called the weight of a line. The weight of a line means how thick or thin it is. And it's technique in comics and cartooning that doesn't seem like a big deal, but in the end, it creates a pretty cool effect, and it's where it adds up to really make a piece look nice. And you can see where I've got thin lines for parts like fingers or edges of the hair, and thicker lines for heavy things like this big poncho Bruno is wearing. So varying the lines from thick to thin very subtly is a nice technique when students are ready to start trying it. Not really a focal point for most kids unless they're more advanced. Now, you can do that with any sort. You can change the line width with any sort of, set of pins. The cool thing about a brush pin is if you press harder, here's our Pomni from yesterday we practiced in class, turning Pomni into a villain. If you do it with a brush pin, you get thicker lines by pressing harder. Look how thick that gets. And then thinner lines by pressing softer. All in one pin, so I don't need a whole set. Um, so that's just personal preference. Welcome, Angel. Good to have you here. Have you joined our free cartooning camp? Are you coming Wednesday? We got a free class happening Wednesday, a couple times to choose from. You can sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com. All right, what do y'all want me to work on? You want me to color me versus the Cranky Furter? Cranky Furters, we talked a lot about them yesterday. Those are the negative voices in our head, or people out in the world, or forces and institutions that try to keep kids from being creative and pursuing their creative dreams. Sometimes it's the education system, or people who aren't supportive, or bullies, or for a lot of us, it's our own voices inside our head that say, that's not good enough, yours doesn't look like the teacher, you'll never get this, crumple it up and throw it away. Those are cranky furters. So this is me about to defeat one. Should I work on this one? Finish coloring the background here. Should I work on Sonic meets Five Nights at Freddy's? Or finish Pomni? What do y'all think? Whoever's got an opinion, I'll do it. Hey, welcome all the way from the UK. Did you join our live class yesterday? If not, you can get the replay if you're signed up for cartooning camp. So the reason when I ink, I have to be so precise. It's often I'll go quiet because I'm holding my breath. The reason I actually started Kids Cartoon Academy is because I faced a cranky furter in my own life. It was my third grade teacher who tried to get me in trouble for drawing on my homework. Even though I'm pretty sure that it was like in the third grade. So I don't know if they were given A's and B's then for grades, but I at least got a check plus smiley face. I did fine in math at that age. And I finished the work, and then I was drawing in the margins, doodling. She didn't like that. And that discouraged me. Miss Crankyfurter may or may not be her real name. The thing is, though, that's more just a representation of one example of types of discouragement that I faced along the way. And the thing was, I didn't know when I was young that I was facing these cranky furters because I didn't know how to recognize them then. I just thought, oh, hey, I want to focus on sports now because all my friends are, or I want to do, or, in my school, there wasn't a lot that really encouraged art, especially the type of art that I wanted to make, which is cartoons and comics. And so, really, the cranky fur is just lack of support. And then over time, I ended up leaving behind drawing. I stopped drawing for 20 years of my life, at least. About 7 years ago, I got back into it completely randomly. I signed up for a art class completely randomly, just like many of you signed up for cartooning camp. Maybe somewhat randomly, just trying to see what it was about. Sort of what I did. I was just looking for something fun to do, looking for a midweek break. I was in the middle of a really busy, stressful job, and it changed my life. There was an amazing teacher who valued my art and gave me specific feedback on my work. There is an amazing community of other artists who support each other, and it was just inspiring to see all these other people drawing the things that I love. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by people who valued the art that I liked as well, and that made me. When I signed up, I didn't think it was. I was like, "Oh, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. Keep drawing." I didn't know, of course, this was going to change my life. And so, shortly after, well, right then it became a hobby again. The hobby grew into somewhat of an obsession, a passion, began drawing again, and then I turned it into a career and started selling my art, and then started Kids Cartoon Academy to help other kids and adults, the big kids in all of us, keep their creative passion alive instead of losing it. So they don't have to go through where I went. Hey, Vivon, good to see you. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Yeah, we'd love to sign up for the cartooning camp if you haven't. I bet Jason might enjoy that. And if you're not into art, just take it easy, take it slow. Actually, that's good advice for anybody. You people who are into art, sometimes I find, especially young people, they're really hard on themselves. I mentioned crumpling up your paper and throwing it away earlier. I've heard from lots of parents that their kid does that and they hate to see their kid that frustrated. And that's sort of complicated because here's what I say about that. Number one, nothing wrong with being frustrated with your art. It means you want to get better. So if you get frustrated with your art, congrats. You're an artist. Happens to me all the time. You want to know how many times I messed up in this piece of art? You probably don't even notice. But I could name 10 ways I messed up here. But I've learned what artists learn. The more you draw, and the more you hang out with other artists, and the more you take classes, the more you develop your skills, you learn that every artist makes tons of mistakes. The difference is artists who draw for a while learn how to deal with them. They learn that mistakes are just opportunities for learning. They might try to correct it next time. And I have a whole trash can full over right over there of old piece of paper, but they weren't thrown in the trash with art on it. I was drawing or sketching, but it wasn't I didn't throw them out in a fit of rage. I just said, I'm gonna try again. And I didn't need that paper. I also have and so I threw it away. But not because I was upset, because I knew I was gonna make another one. This would be better. But I don't have any there that I spent a long time on. Anytime I spend a long time on a piece of art, I'm usually collecting it, keeping it in my sketchbook or a folder somewhere, because those are excellent. Don't throw away old or even necessarily bad pieces of art. Keep them. It's excellent to um, look back a year from now and see how much you've grown. Can't recommend that enough. My students, I tell them do that all the time. They're doing it recently. in my members only community, I had students do a reflect and celebrate challenge where they um, put a piece of art from a year ago next to a piece of art they're making now. And the progress was incredible, and the students saw it. And that's what builds confidence. More than me being kind and saying kind words, more than parents being kind and saying kind words. Those are all good. But the biggest thing that builds confidence is when students see their own skills getting better. They see their art getting better. And that's true anywhere. If you're trying to be a better soccer player, football player, get better at math, it's easy to feel better about your skills once you see them improving and you're doing better. That's why I teach a lot, not just about drawing characters. In fact, I teach more about skills and techniques that you can learn and apply to your own drawings than I do just drawing a specific character, or these step-by-step tutorials. It's really important that you develop your toolkit, your artist toolkit, be able to draw, be able to have so many techniques that you can use and use them to draw the art that you want to make. Yes, this is Sonic as an animatronic. A student actually requested this. That's why I drew him. I thought it was a fun idea. Awesome. Sophia, the classes definitely would help you improve your skills. Did you sign up already? Have you started joining us? You can sign up now at kidscartoonacademy.com completely free through the end of this week. You get replays of any classes you miss. You get on-demand lessons too. In the on-demand lessons, I teach you a bunch of things. One of them, I teach you how to draw yourself in the style of art that you like, whether it's Sonic or Rainbow Friends or anime or whatever. These are two examples that I did of me. I teach you how to draw Mario like this and Blue, and those teach Blue from Rainbow Friends. Those teach you how to draw using the basic shapes method, which really involves breaking down the characters or the things you see that you're trying to draw into just a series of very basic shapes. And if you're drawing from a reference image, being able to look at it, or character, or whatever it is you're drawing, look at it, break it into shapes, and start there. Instead of going in straight in with like a Sharpie or a pencil and pressing really hard and trying to get perfect lines the first time. I used to do that all the time when I was young, and it works. I did it for a long time, made lots of fun art. But as soon as I got better, which it takes time, for some people it takes a month, for some people it takes years, for some people it takes a few days. As soon as I got better at starting to sketch with very light lines, it frees me up to make mistakes. I began drawing way more efficiently, and sort of like that. That's how I created this feature in class yesterday, actually, in the live class as part of cartooning camp. It looked like this to start. And then I'm not worried about finding the perfect lines, and I experiment to find the characters and the combinations of shapes that look best. That's how pro animators and illustrators draw. Creating their characters, finding designs for new characters. They are experimenting with shapes and proportions and combining them in neat ways. See what they end up with. And then the precise part where you want to be careful comes when you have a good pencil sketch, and then you can go very precisely with your black marker, your black pen. Why did I start teaching to draw? Good question. Ooh, that's a good question. Um, how do I keep that answer short? I'll tell you in a second. Can we learn how to draw green from from Rainbow Friends? You mean yellow? Maybe we could do yellow. Did you get the green tutorial? Some of you got a green tutorial as a bonus when you sign up for free cartooning camp. If you chose in the survey that you like Rainbow Friends that I sent you. Sent you the bonus to draw green. Um, Me too. Love to express myself by drawing. I love to draw like cartoon characters, silly or cute or fun or scary. My a lot of my own personal art, I actually used it as ways to explore different experiences in my life. Sometimes even hard, tough, sad experiences, and they don't look anything like this. They're a little darker, and yeah, did some painting with them, and a lot different than my cartoon art. So I explore lots of different styles. I encourage students to do the same. So most of the stuff I do at Kids Cartoon Academy is fun and light and uses pencil and markers. But we do also do painting workshops from time to time. We had a workshop last year where we painted, we brought in a guest pro artist who specializes in acrylic art. And he taught us how to mix colors from just a few basic colors, primary colors, how to mix and get different tones, and helped students as make really a lot of them is the first time using acrylic paint. We made these on canvas, and it was a lot of fun. We've done watercolor workshops, comic workshops. All right, so why did I start teaching drawing? So um, I started, I was a classroom teacher by trade. That's what I've done as an adult my whole life. I'm looking for a blue that looks good for Sonic. So that's lighter. So I had been teaching in classrooms for years, 15 years. And but I wasn't teaching art because if you heard my story earlier, I was not into art. I knew I liked to teach. I knew I liked to work with kids. I knew I wanted to make a difference in the community and help people. But I was teaching I taught a number of things. I loved the humanities, so English mostly, reading, writing, literature. Um, I taught Spanish for a while. I think this blue will work. The If you get the Ohuhu markers, it's the case with a lot of them, but the Ohuhu markers especially, the color on the cap does not usually match the color that comes out, so you gotta be careful. Um, so time after time in all the classes I taught in New York and Tennessee and North Carolina. I gotta put scrap paper underneath or it's gonna bleed through onto Pomni. All the classes I taught, middle school through high school, so 6th grade through 12th grade, I had seen student after student come into my classroom and they hated reading. Um, and for a while, I was a reading teacher, literature teacher. And I thought that was so weird. Why are these kids, even 6th grade, especially ninth grade, it got worse the older they got, right? The older they got, the less they read, the less, and guess what? Uh, the less they made art, the less they drew, the less they did sort of any sort of more creative pursuit. I would always ask them early in the school year, how many of you used to love drawing, reading, making art, writing when you were little? Maybe in elementary school. All the hands go up. Whole class. In probably at least 90, 95%, if not 100% in every class. And that was in all the schools I taught at: New York City, Tennessee, North Carolina, Africa. I taught for a little while. And then I asked, how many of you love to read or make art now? Only 2 or 3 hands would stay up in the air. So I realized there's a connection between being creative, between having this creative outlet, valuing your creativity, and so many other outcomes in life: academic success, joy, having an outlet, for your individuality, feeling like you have a voice and something important to contribute. So, um, I realized that instead of just trying to get older students to love reading again or to love making art again, I wanted to make sure they never lost that passion. So I started teaching art and started Kids Cartoon Academy. Um, are you supposed to draw Sonic as an animatronic? No, you can draw whatever you want. This isn't an official class. I'm just chilling, answering questions, coloring. It'd be better if you just came along and if you wanted, if kids are watching, come draw or color whatever you want with me. And you could ask questions and things in the chat if you'd like. Thank you. How do you get the color so realistic? So it's a long process. Well, you can see now it doesn't look very realistic. Okay, it's just a flat base color here, right? It gets realistic once you add more layers. Now, how do you know where to add the layers and make it look what you mean? What you mean when you say realistic? Well, come to. It would take a whole class to explain that. So come to my cartooning camp class on Wednesday. Completely free. Wednesday is our next class. We'll be talking about. We're not just talking about colors. We're going to talk a little bit about shading, which is can't do coloring like this or like this until you know about shading, right? And you can't do shading until you know about 3D shapes and uh, 3D space. So we're going to talk about bringing depth and dimension and 3D, a 3D look to your art, and a little bit on shading on Wednesday. 2 class times to choose from. Sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com for the free classes. We got 2 more live free classes, and we've got so 2 more live free classes, Wednesday and the next Saturday, and then we have you have 4 now and multiple bonus on demand recorded lessons coming your way. I made a mistake. Some of you young artists would make a mistake like this and get so upset right now. I don't know if you can see it. I made a big ink smudge. I can't undo it. Can't erase that. But I've been drawing long enough. I know that I don't have to worry about it. Once I've finished with it, it'll hardly be noticeable. That's one reason I'm not worried about it. Number 2 is I can figure out a way to cover it up somehow. I got some ideas. Number 3 is um wait, what was number 3? I had a third reason why I'm not worried about that smudge. Oh, number 3, I learned from my mistake. This ink that I put in that comes with this marker is not good for alcohol. Most ink is. Sharpies are fine. Lots of other marker. This one tends to smudge. Really frustrating because like one of my favorite pens, but smudges with alcohol markers. So that's a bummer. So I learned to go back to my other pens next time. That is awesome. Bluey in a zebra onesie and Bingo in a cheetah onesie. Oh, that's awesome. My kids would love to see that. You should post it in the Facebook group if you have joined cartooning camp. They are big Bluey fans. I'm glad you made it. If your parents are getting the emails from me, you get an email every day. There's a live class with the link. But when you sign up for something, sometimes the email you get is going to go into a spam folder. And so another smudge. So you got to go find the email from this in the spam folder and move it into your primary folder so that when I send the link to the live class and the bonus class, there's a bonus recorded lesson coming tomorrow to your artist portal. I'm going to send you the link to the lesson tomorrow. You got to move the email out of your spam folder into the primary contact. So your email provider knows we're friends, and you get the lessons, and it'll send it straight to your inbox instead of to the spam in the future. So glad you made it. If you are in the Facebook group because you signed up for cartooning camp and you're already in the group, if you go to events in the Facebook group, you will see the times for Wednesday's class. 2 times to choose from, an early and a later option. How to get drawings realistic? I answered that a little bit, but we will go more into depth into that on Wednesday. What are these pins called? These are called Ohuhu markers. They're not too expensive. They're more expensive than something like Crayola, but they're professional markers basically and get really good results, and they're affordable. I highly recommend them. If you click on the link in the chat, you'll see I just put the link to the supplies that I use, and so you could read more about these types of markers. All right, what else should I color? I gotta color his ear. I really gotta find my other black pen that doesn't smudge with these markers. Oh, you have these markers. Yeah, they're good ones. Cheap, good materials used for drawing. Yeah, click on that link or go to kidscartoonacademy.com/tools. It has the paper I recommend, which is super cheap. It's the cheapest paper I've ever found. I use it all the time. Works fine with alcohol markers. It will bleed through, so you just got to put scrap paper underneath. And there's nicer paper too if you want that as well. Nicer paper that works really good with alcohol markers. That is a little thicker and it doesn't bleed through. This is thicker. I don't know if you can tell. If you can't see through this, you can see through this. This is thin. This is thicker. Uh, Still good price. This is on the link I put in the comments now. kidscartoonacademy.com/tools. See the tools I recommend. This is the Hammer Hill copy paper. It's copy paper. It's pretty thick. Works great for printer ink. But guess what? A lot of us use it for alcohol ink, which is these alcohol markers. Blends really nicely. But then this stuff is even cheaper and not bad. If I'm putting something I'm sketching for fun or for class, I'll often put it on this cheap paper. Something I'm maybe going to frame, I'll do it on the thicker paper. Yeah, using up the ink. What's nice about the Ohuhus is you can refill it. And what's nice about those brush pens I was talking earlier in the live about is you can refill these too, although it gets messy. Probably not super easy for kids to do, but um, so a lot of people, there's lots of good. The black marker or the black thing you use for the outlining doesn't really matter. As long as it's black, if that's if this is the style you like to draw in. A lot of really what I teach though in my classes pretty much applies to all media. Okay. I teach drawing. You could draw with markers, uh, pens, pencils. And so some people like to keep it in pencil and never add color. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people try to get the kids to add color, but it's just an extra tool. But a lot of people add color before they get really good in pencil too, you know? So nothing wrong with doing work just in pencil. We've done a lot together in my classes in the past where we do some cool realistic stuff and shading in pencil, and it really helps students develop their overall art skills entirely in pencil. I think I've got a Princess Peach here somewhere that is obviously not Princess Peach. We did one class where we shaded Princess Peach. There's the drawing of green. We did a coloring workshop on the Grinch together with a bunch of my students. That was awesome, and I taught them how to blend. We did this step by step coloring. It was a coloring workshop. Taught them all about how to use the Ohuhu markers or any sort of alcohol markers. That was a lot of fun. Um, if you are new to me, one thing you might learn about me is I like weird things, like weird monsters and made up creatures like this. I made that. Hey, if you know what two animals I combined to make this nasty little creature, let me know in the comments. I combined two animals here to make that. Um, this one was a watercolor unicorn bunny. It's called an Almirage. It's from Dungeons and Dragons. Looking for my Princess Peach pencil drawing. There it is. We did that in a class where we learned about pencil sketching. We've done lots of others. We've done realistic Sonic, all in graphite and pencil. This one messed up quite a bit. Don't know if you can notice. I certainly noticed where the smudges that I don't want. But doesn't matter because learned a lot about how to use my pencils. So the one of the artist's biggest enemy is perfectionism. Guess what? The easiest way to overcome that is to make more art. Once you get in the habit of just making more art, no matter what, you'll find yourself improving and not caring about the bad art because you'll be making so much good art. But you got to put in the reps. Awesome. Samara was there at the last live class. Nice. You were right. Axolotl and a bear. That's who I had combined. Yeah, you saw these others. It did look like a bit of an alligator to it, but I was thinking more of a axolotl and then the bear face and some of the bear claws. When I was a student, what interested me to draw? Um, Definitely the Looney Tunes. I drew one Looney Tune so much that I could draw right now from memory without a reference at all. Let me know if you know who this Looney Tune is. I just drew him so much that I memorized how to draw him. You could draw him pretty quick too. You might know who this one is. He was my favorite Looney Tune. Who knows who this is? The best Looney Tune. My favorite, anyways. Yeah, you can show me your art by if you sign up or get your parents to sign up for um, cartooning camp. Free cartooning camp happening next live class is Wednesday. And then you join the Facebook group and you can draw with us. Join our live classes. Show me your art by posting it in the Facebook group. Looking for a red color now for the shoes. A light red. You got it. It was Taz that I was drawing earlier. Tasmanian Devil. So I was super into as a kid. Actually, I was quite a bit into Sonic too. I had what was called a Sega Genesis and a Sega Game Gear. Shows you how old I am. Those were the video game systems we had then. And so I love Sonic. I drew a lot of him when I was young. Lots and lots of Looney Tunes and lots of Batman. Batman referenced him in our live class yesterday. He's always been a favorite of mine. Still, still love Batman. Yeah, you got it as well. So if you were in the live class yesterday, I'd love to see your art. If you haven't shared it with me yet, you can post in the Facebook group. You can finish coloring it if you want. or even post it incomplete. That's fine too. Up to you. You all get to see my incomplete work all the time. It'd be cool to see yours. I'd love to see the pencil version of it. And if you sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com, you can join us for the rest of the camp. We did Pomni, as Pomni looks like this, using basic circles in this shark fin shape, this curved triangle. And then we learned a lot about shape language, the language that shapes communicate. Shapes mean things. We did a lot about that. You get the replays when you sign up. We turned Pomni into a villain. And then my favorite thing was seeing seeing all of you use shapes to create your own scene of you battling a discouraging Crankyfurter. He ate my sketchbook. And we used shapes to design ourselves in the style that we like and some sort of Crankyfurter monster of some sort. Some students showed Crankyfurter as a bully or as a negative voice inside their head or as some other obstacle that tries to keep them from making art. It was really cool to see everybody's interpretation of that. Patrick, but a human. That would be so. I've seen them before, especially the 3D renderings I've seen online. Those are super sus. They're so gross. Patrick as a human. That would be funny. I've never drawn that. Maybe I need to. Yeah, what else? Who else would be fun to draw as a human? Sonic would be fun to draw as a human. That would be weird. Awesome. Thanks, Kyla. We got a cartooning camp going this week. When you sign up, you get any replays you miss. It's a completely free cartooning camp of recorded lessons and on-demand lessons. I need a darker gray. And our next live class is Wednesday. So you can sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com. There we go. Maybe I'll do gray eyebrows. Let's see. Eyelids. Blue or gray eyelids? What do y'all think? Sometimes I'll test it on a separate sheet first, but I don't think I want to take that much time today. Let me just go with it. Blue or gray eyelids? Let me know what you think would look best. I think Sonic has blue eyes, but I'm not sure. I hope so. Gray. All right, the people have spoken. Green from Rainbow Friends, more monster-like. Did you see my green that I showed earlier? I don't know where he got off to now. He was pretty monstrous. Where'd he go? It's even a lesson you can get when you join cartooning camp. I'll show you step by step how to draw it. I don't know where the green went. All right, y'all said gray, so we'll start with the light gray. I always start light, and then you can darken it. It's pretty dark already, so I'm glad I didn't go darker. I'm going to do this part darker. And here's a tip when using colors. Make them stand out from each other. So if you have something in front of another colored area, then make one of them dark and one of them light. Okay, in other words, Sonic's nose is black, right? But looking at this background of the eyes, it's already pretty dark and almost black. It's a dark gray, but it's almost black. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to color the nose the same thing because then the nose will just blend into the background. You won't really see it. So I'm going to choose a lighter gray. Even though Sonic's nose we know is basically black, I'm going to choose a much lighter gray so that the nose stands out. So if you're putting Sonic on the road, you're doing a background. Sonic sort of dark here, a darker blue. Make the background or the road very light. That's sort of just a basic thing. So when I do the background for me here, it's like my desk computer. There'll be some art supplies. I'm gonna do it a really light color because I'm sort of darker here. The dark hair, the darkness. That'll make me stand out. So light on dark or dark on light. If you have a dark background and you want the character to stand out, be easier to see, then use light. If you have a dark character, use light background. If you have a light background, use dark. If you want it to stand out, and that's for anything, not just backgrounds. It's like for this nose, I'm about to color. I'm going to do that a light gray instead of a black. So if I did black, it would just blend in with the back, and I don't want that. Blue makes a great shadow color. We went into depth with in the we went in depth with this when we did our Grinch coloring workshop recently. Blues and grays on white make a great effect because it looks like, oh, his socks and his gloves are white. Actually, they're mostly light blue, but they look to us white because blue is a little shadow. Things are very rarely white. And just adding a very light blue or very light shadow, very light gray, very light blue. Other colors work too. Can do a lot to create a really cool effect there. And I'm putting a shadow layer here now. That's why I like these markers a lot, because you can just layer them on top of each other, even onto the red. See, and so it's starting to make that was just blue on top of red. Now it's already starting to make these shoes look a lot more 3D. And if you look closely, you'll see I smudged. I made a mistake and I learned, hey, this black ink that I use for the outline doesn't work great with the Ohuhus. That's because it's a weird type of ink. Most normal ink works great with these Ohuhu markers. All right, let's color the nose a light gray. Let's see how this does. I like it. See, looks like a black nose, but actually I just used a very light gray and makes it stand out from the back. Hey, Ortegas. What's up, y'all? Good to see ya. Cyan from Rainbow Friends. He's been requested a lot. I'll need to draw him soon. Oh no, Sonic's eyes are green. Okay, let's see if I can redeem it. All right, his eyes really green? I thought his eyes were blue. Let's see. My eyes are blue. I thought Sonic's were too. You are right. They are green. Look at that. Green eyes. All right, let's see if I can see. I made another mistake. That's all right. Hey, look, I can color over it, and it's now got more of a green tint. Plus, maybe when he becomes an animatronic, maybe they turn a little blue. But that looks green enough now, right? Tails flying, that'd be cool. Everybody knew Sonic's eyes was green. I'm late to the party. Awesome, Kyla. I hope you're there Wednesday. We'd love to see you. Wednesday, if you are in cartooning camp and you signed up for it and you are in the Facebook group, go to events and you will see it. All right, I'm going to put some shadows on this real quick and finish him up. Maybe some of these wires have a little, let's see, red, I think green wire, and maybe a blue wire. And then I'm gonna go watch football with my family, I think. Any American football fans here? My wife's from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so sadly we watched the Packers lose last night. That was pretty sad. We're going into depth about three-dimensional shapes on Wednesday in our cartooning camp class. I used 3D shapes, kept them in mind when I was making this little Sonic. Do it with all my art. This is just one I've been sketching recently. And a little bit on light and shadow, which is what I'm doing and thinking about now. Where the light hits. So like I just covered up a bunch of that sort of peach color belly with that big blue shadow. And it's like, whoa, did you ruin it? No, that's intentional. That's what I always do. It looks good in the end. It's how I get them looking 3D. And the first times you're working with colors like this or markers like this and trying to do shadows, you get really worried about if I put this dark color on it, it's going to ruin it. Guess what? You ruin a couple sketches, quick drawings. Then you get good at it. You know exactly where to put them with time. I'm even going to color the teeth. They're going to be in the shadows. They're going to get this blue on them. I'm going to darken the shadow because the light's coming from above and is blocking the light from getting on there. And so it's going to be dark underneath there. Donkey Kong would be hilarious to draw. Yeah. Let me move Sonic out of the way here. Cartoon Sonic. As it to draw Donkey Kong as a human? Well, would it just look like a realistic monkey? If the light's coming from above, then the things on the bottom, like the bottom of these triangles, are going to be darker. The eyes, once I do the eyes, let's put some shadow on the eyes. That'll make a big difference. Very little white will make the areas where you do have white really pop, really stand out a lot more, and create a cool effect. Too dark. So our next live class is Wednesday. There's two options to choose from. You can see those options under the events tab in the Facebook group, which you get access to once you sign up. You can sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com. Join us for more free classes. Speedy Gonzalez, he would be good to draw. We should draw him. Used to draw him a lot. I loved the Looney Tunes. Let's see, I need a lighter color. All right, I'm gonna put some highlights on him and finish this guy up. Oh, he needs a little shadow on his face. I love using blues for shadows. A lot of people use gray, but most shadows actually have a little bit of a color to them. Usually light blue or light purple. Grays work too, though. Look how much it helps once you put a little shadow on the face. So that's the key to making things look more realistic. Shading. And to really understand shading a lot, like to know where the shadows go, it helps to have a better understanding of three-dimensional shapes. That's what we're going to be learning about in our 3D crash course lesson on Wednesday as part of cartooning camp. Now, It looks pretty fun now, but if I don't color this here on the face, and then it'll look strange because everything's shaded, almost everything's shaded, except for this mouth, the snout. And so you want to put some shadow there too. If you shade one part, you want to try to shade all of it. It looks funny. And let's see. Now, there's lots of these ink smudges where I don't necessarily want them to be, but the cool thing is he's a little animatronic that will have dents and stains on him. So guess what? I'll just make him parts of the dents and parts of the stains, and little scratches that I'll have on him. So that'll actually work out perfectly. So I'm gonna start putting like maybe up here. He's got a little scratch, a little dirt. I'm even thinking about how these are 3D shapes, and that determines which direction I'm putting these little stains. I'm trying to see him three dimensional and wrapping this dirt, these stains, this grime all around him and wrapping it around these three-dimensional shapes. So I'll be I'll be talking more about that in the 3D crash course Wednesday as part of our cartooning camp. And if you missed yesterday's cartooning camp, once you sign up for it, if you're already signed up for it, you get the replay. I sent the link to you via email yesterday. And I'm sending another little bonus lesson. So make sure you're getting my emails. Check your spam folder. Send an email yesterday. Send an email, um, and we'll send an email tomorrow with the link to a bonus lesson I'm sending to those who sign up for the free cartooning camp. You can sign up for it at kidscartoonacademy.com. Spider-Man as an animatronic. Yeah, that's funny. Did it? Look at Sonic. He was looking so cute just a few minutes ago until I put these dark shadows and the dirt on him. Now he's like pretty gross looking, isn't it? Let's make I'm gonna finish this up now with some highlights. Which I use two things for highlights: a white colored pencil and a gel pen. And the white colored pencil is good for just like very subtle highlights. We'll be talking about a little bit where to put highlights in our crash course to 3D drawing on Wednesday. And see, look how the smudges, I thought I'd ruined it with all these black smudges from the bad pen I was using. And guess what? It actually just adds to the look of the animatronic. Now, this white color pencil is good for very subtle highlights. Is just look how light, sort of transparent. It's a transparent white look because you don't want all your highlights really bright. I'm thinking about where the light's coming from. And these are things I'll be talking about in the 3D crash course class on Wednesday. Dancing Toothless. Like the dragon, draw him dancing. Is that what you mean? Blue as an animatronic, that'd be cool to draw. This is Sonic as an animatronic, of course. One reason I like drawing animatronics is because it's a great use of 3D shapes, and you could turn anything to an animatronic, and it's gonna look pretty cool. I've done it with lots of different characters. I've done Cuphead, and it's great practice using 3D cylinders, which is one of my top 3D shapes for any artist to master. Because these cylinders that you see in his arms and legs, they're also super helpful. If you learn to draw cylinders really well, they're super helpful for drawing arms and legs of realistic people as well. And used all the time in manga, anime, really all cartoons, or most cartoons, use a lot of 3D cylinders. And lastly, I go to my bright highlights. You only want to do a few of these. I use a gel pen, a white gel pen for these. And I only do a few because if you do a bunch of white highlights, then it lessens the effect and it doesn't look as cool because everything's shiny. If everything's shiny, then nothing is shiny. If everything is shaded, then nothing is shaded. Right? So you want to use contrast, like just a few areas that really are bright. I'm going to get, let's see. You can use Posca pins as well. You can dab them to lighten them up if you want. If you want to try, if you're not sure what to draw, a cool thing to try is turn something into animatronic using um, using these cylinder shapes. We'll do more about cylinders in the crash course to 3D drawing on Wednesday as part of cartooning camp. You can sign up at kidscartoonacademy.com if you haven't yet. It's completely free. Check this out. That's a 3D cylinder. You can start curving them. But the thing about these 3D cylinders, they're so helpful because it's used in not just animatronics, but look at my shorts, 3D cylinder. Look at the socks, 3D cylinder. Sleeves, 3D cylinders. The markers, 3D cylinders. Frankfurter's legs, 3D cylinders. I have not done a flip book in a long time. That's a good question. Those are really fun to draw. Uh, Animation takes a lot of focus and discipline, right? Have you made a flip book before? To do any sort of animation, you gotta draw the same character over and over and over in the same or different poses. It is great practice and awesome to try. But I don't know that I even have the as much focus as you do if you're already doing flip books. As much because it's a lot of hard work and that's awesome. And I like drawing lots of different characters, but flip books are totally cool and it's fun to see it all pay off in the end. All right. And I think that about does it for this little guy. If you do a animatronic out of a character of your choosing, be sure to post in the Facebook group once you sign up for cartooning camp so I can see how it turned out. Any final questions? Yeah, Goofy. Well, I thought this was goofy and silly. He sort of looks goofy and silly, doesn't he? Darken the edge a little more. So it goes from black to dark gray. And even the edges back here. See, it's a dark gray. But if I darken it so it goes from black to gray, look even better. Fun. I like how it turned out. And then one thing I always do is I always look in the end. Should some shadows be darker? Because you start doing them pretty light, but then in the end, lots of times you can darken those shadows even more. Certain areas, push those shadows darker, and they'll look better. So that's what I did. Thanks. It was pretty fun drawing him. Thanks for joining me, y'all. Do I sometimes hate my art? Yes, of course. Do I want my art to be better? Yeah, I could name 10 things that I wish I could draw better. Guess what though? I'm learning to be happy with with my drawings as well. Not every one. Every artist feels good about some of their art, not so good about other pieces. The difference is you shouldn't let when you feel bad about a certain piece of your art, you shouldn't let that stop you. So I was actually feeling really bad about this because of smudging too much. Wasn't sure where it was gonna go. Kept at it, ended up liking it. But I have piles and piles of art over there that I don't really like how it went. Some of the things I want to get better, like even the best artists in the world have things they want to get better at. I want to get better at drawing more realistic anatomy, like bodies, more realistic style people. That's one thing I'm going to work on this year. I'm going to study. I'm going to improve. I want to get better at drawing environments as well. I don't enjoy drawing those as much as I do characters, but it's something I want to get better at overall and develop. And so I'm going to study how to draw environments even better and improve on those. Um, so yeah, totally. I wouldn't say there are pieces of art that I don't like that I make. Totally. I never like overall hate my art anymore because I learned that I'm on a journey making good art along the way, just like you do. You know, it's all about growing as an artist. If you start to hate like all of your art, then you're facing a cranky further. Okay. And remember, it's like what I teach you is some more skills to draw more dynamic and complicated and 3D art, and also simple art from simple shapes. Like we did in class when we made Pomni. But what's interesting, what you need to know is Pomni is like a world famous character now, and she's just made of a few simple shapes. Let's see. Greg, what's his name? Hefferly from Diary of a Wimpy Kid is just y'all know how to draw him, right? Or know how he looks. There's no one right way to do art. You can even tell amazing stories with just a few simple shapes and ideas. It's about the ideas. I don't know. He looks something like this. I forget. But Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a world famous book series that many of you know about. Spun off into movies and everything else. And that's how he draws it. So there's so many different ways to draw and be successful as an artist. So the things that you like to draw, keep doing those things. The things you want to grow at, keep doing those things. How to show you my drawings? Well, sign up for cartooning camp to show me your drawings. Cartooning camp is kidscartoonacademy.com. Get your parents to go there. They sign you up. And then they'll get an email from me. Check their spam folder. It'll give them the link to the Facebook group. Once you're in the Facebook group, it's a private group, and you can share your art that way. Favorite color? Good question. To wear, blue. To overall, red. To color with, light blue. The shadows. There's reasons for all those, but I don't have time to get into them. All right. Thanks so much for joining me, y'all. It was fun chatting with y'all. Have a great Sunday. If you signed up for cartooning camp at kidscartoonacademy.com, tell your parents to check their email. Tomorrow, you're going to get a bonus lesson I'll send you. And then Wednesday, we are live. You can click on events in the Facebook group, and you'll see 2 times to choose from for our 3D crash course. A little Light and Shadow as well. That's on Wednesday. It's cartooning camp. We already had Saturday, January 20th done. You get the replay when you sign up. Wednesday is our next one, and then we finish on Saturday. Yeah, this wasn't even really a class. We were just hanging and chilling and drawing together. But this little session, it was just a surprise little session I did because I had some time. All right, there wasn't a class today. There was one yesterday. Go watch the replay. Next class, look, it was yesterday. Today's Sunday, and then Wednesday, and then next Saturday. So I'll see y'all then. Bye, everybody.